Deion Sanders and Colorado brought in another top transfer portal class, but who are going to be the stars in 2024?
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Bourba. Today's episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in and making me your first listen of the day. We're talking about Colorado's top transfers because it's been a popular subject on social media, and I still think that there might be some overreactions to what the latest kind of narrative is. So I'm going to go over the four guys that I think that could be legitimate stars for Colorado. You look at Colorado's last portal class. I think the obvious stars were Shedeur, Travis, Shiloh, and then you can make arguments for Xavier Weaver, Jimmy Horn. I would probably put Xavier Weaver as that fourth guy. There's probably other guys too, but those would be my top four. Jimmy probably five. And realistically, you look at this class, and I think this class is much better, way better, like worlds better than last year's class. I think last year's class was more built on quantity over quality. This year's there are a handful of guys. Sorry, my microphone got unmuted there, or it got muted. There are a handful of guys that I think could be stars for Colorado. So let's look at the four. Starting on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going two pass rushers. One of them, Samuel O from Pitt. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he kind of burst onto the scene this past year at Pitt. Obviously, Colorado lost Derek McClendon and Jordan Dominic, so they need someone to kind of emerge as that pass rusher. In 11 games this past season, he had 18 tackles, six tackles for a loss, and 5 sacks. Also forced a fumble. He was very disruptive, and I think being that he'll have another year of experience, learning from guys, and probably being in a defense that will need more from him and kind of maybe help open him up with this other guy I'm going to talk about, he could have a bigger year. Realistically, I think everyone expects him to kind of build off this 5-sack season. Even if he doesn't reach that total or surpass that total, he could still have a big impact because Colorado was not generating a lot of pressure on the quarterback last season, and that's where he comes into play. His running mate, or someone who will also be helping him rush the quarterback, BJ Green, is another guy that I think could be a star. Now, he's the one that I was talking about where I think there's been a lot of social media discussions about him, and I totally get it. I watched the film breakdown on who might disagree with someone who's played in the NFL. I'm not disagreeing, but I think that Coach Prime will have innate ability to get the best out of every player. If he can't get the best out of you, he's probably not going to play you. And so that's what I would say because I've seen a lot of comments where people were like, he doesn't have a good motor. And I think there's definitely plays where BJ Green took them off. I think there's definitely plays where maybe he didn't have as big of an impact as the numbers at PFF or his stats indicated. But at the end of the day, he was the second team All Pac-12 player. He's a player who has potential, and he is a player that has a personal relationship with Coach Prime already. So I imagine, and he's trying to make it to the NFL. So this is kind of his last hurrah. So if you can't put it together, if you can't kind of find it in you to get that motor and put it on film, because like was said in the video, what you put on film is what you are. If you can't find that in yourself to be like, you know what? Maybe I do need to give 100% effort all the time. Maybe I do need to chase down the ball carrier even if I'm nowhere near the player. Because you never know. Sometimes the player cuts back. Sometimes there's a fumble. Anything can happen down the field. So I think BJ Green, while there are questions about his motor right now, I think he could still end up being a star. He is the pass rusher where I look at him and I go, if him and Samuel O each get 6 or like say they each get 5 sacks again, or they're each getting pressures on the quarterback, which opens up things for like guys like Chidozie Nwanku, Quincy Wiggins, and Quinn Barnes, whoever's playing up the middle, Shane Cokes, wherever he ends up playing. They could open up things. They could create opportunities for others. They could open up opportunities for the secondary if they get the quarterback under pressure and all of a sudden the quarterback is deciding to rush a throw because he's got these two guys breathing down his neck. This Colorado defense can be forcing turnovers. So I think those two guys are kind of like the ones where I look at them and I'm like, if they're not stars, I think that'd be kind of a disappointment. for Colorado next season. Now let's head over to the offensive side of the ball. I only have one offensive side of the ball transfer where it's like I think they're going to be a star, but it's one where I think it's pretty obvious. I'm going LeJohntay Wester. I was and still am very confident that Jimmy Horn Jr. will have a major role in this offense. But the more I talk to people around the program, the more I talk to people who are following this program closely, as am I. I'm covering it closely. My intern's going to be at the spring practices and all that. I imagine that Jimmy Horn Jr. of all the receivers, because Travis Hunter's not losing his spot unless Travis Hunter decides not to play wide receiver, which Coach Prime the other day was preaching for him to play wide receiver at the NFL level as well as defense back. So I imagine that's going to stay the same. I think Jimmy Horn Jr. spot's up for grabs, and everyone's like, Jimmy Horn's the fastest. He's the fastest guy. And speed doesn't always equate to being better. But when you get the ball in open space and no one can touch you, I think it does help. Well, I was watching a recent well-off media video. I forgot it was titled, but they were racing. It was the fastest guys versus the slowest guys. And it was LeJohntay Wester who was representing the wide receivers as the fastest guys. And the coaches, the positional coaches, I believe, each picked it. So not that speed wins out and makes you better, but I think LeJohntay Wester's speed and ability to create plays after the catch will pay huge dividends for this offense because they're probably not always going to go deep. I think there's going to be a lot of shots taken in this offense, but I also think Shedeur is going to have to take the checkdowns, which he will. I'm not saying that he won't, but I think when you have guys like LeJohntay and Jimmy all over the field, and it's like, okay, I just have to give them the ball and let them cook after, because I don't always have to throw it 30 yards downfield and throw these make this tightrope throw at the back of the end zone or whatever it may be. When you got speedsters like these two, it is going to be a huge, huge advantage for this Colorado offense. And I think LeJohntay Wester is someone who comes in right away, can make an impact, can get open, and create plays after the catch. And if you could do those things, you will end up being a star. And I think they will force feed him. They will force feed whoever's making plays. It doesn't matter if it's him, Will Shepard, or Marion Miller, Draylon Miller. It doesn't matter. If you are making plays, they will force feed you. We saw that against USC when it was Omarion Miller. We've seen that when it was Xavier Weaver. We've seen it all the time. Mikey Harrison was force fed at times last year. I think it was against Colorado State was the time where it kind of stood out the most. This Colorado team wants the ball in the hands of whoever's hot. And so that is my offensive player. Before I get to my fourth one, I need you guys to comment below who you think the four biggest top transfers are, the 4 stars, because I think there's guys, and I should have prefaced this earlier, there are guys that could be stars, there are guys that can have impacts, and then there are guys that they don't work out just yet. So we're talking about stars in 2024. I think these guys will be bona fide stars for Colorado next season. These are like all Big 12 selection caliber guys. These are guys that are going to be making the biggest difference, guys that are making the biggest plays, highlight plays each and every week. So comment below your 4 stars that were transfers in this past class. My fourth one, DJ McKinney. It's kind of hard to tell what his role will be, but he is experienced. He had 5 pass breakups for the Cowboys last year, Oklahoma State Cowboys. And I like these well-off media videos because it really gives us kind of those conversations we don't get to see. And a lot of times there's a lot being said in those conversations that we normally wouldn't find out or normally wouldn't know about. And it was Coach Prime talking to DJ and saying, I think you're a first round talent. You have to see it in yourself. Something along those lines. That's me paraphrasing. I was already kind of on the DJ McKinney train. I think Cormani McClain, and I'll say this again and again, I think Cormani could be due for a breakout year. That doesn't mean he's going to start right away, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to have another corner out there making plays. I think DJ McKinney could be that third corner or that second corner opposite Travis Hunter if it doesn't work out with Cormani. I think both things could be true where Cormani could have a breakout year eventually, but DJ McKinney could also kind of have a statement year. And then all of a sudden you have DJ and Cormani for the years to come after Travis goes to the NFL. DJ brings in someone who's experienced. He's got good size. He stands in at 6 foot, 175. Not the biggest guy, but he's got that college body already. I think Cormani's still working on it. He did look bigger in the videos that I've seen, which, I mean, it's hard not to be bigger. Realistically, when you're as small as Cormani was, you kind of get bigger just by default by being on a college campus. But DJ McKinney is someone who I think can help shut down these Big 12 wide receivers. There's some talented quarterback play in the Big 12. I think it's going to be slept on a little bit because Colorado came from the Pac-12 where it was like Bo Nix, Michael Penix. So here's Caleb Williams one week. Here's Cam Ward. Like there was so many talented quarterbacks, and it was like there's first rounders littered all throughout the conference. And I think DJ McKinney will help Colorado shore up that back end. And I think it makes life easier on the safeties. I think it makes life easier on everyone else. So those are my four transfer portal players that I think could be stars for Colorado. Again, I want to hear yours. Provide a little case for them. I'm going DJ McKinney because he's got that experience. I'm going to LeJonte Wester. His combination of speed, route running, and ability to get open. I think Shador and him are going to connect quite a bit. I'm going not Quincy Wiggins. I'm going BJ Green and Samuel O as pass rushers. I think they both prove they can make an impact in getting to the quarterback. You guys comment below who you think will have the biggest impact and will have that star power. I want them to be stars, not someone who will contribute. I want star power. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, which is coming up, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us over here at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention, there's great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. So check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv. Again, that's www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv. This episode of Locked On Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry about when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. See the views from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. There shouldn't be a pole in the way. There shouldn't be like a weird curvature in the stadium. You should know exactly what you're looking at. All-in prices show you your total upfront, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, baseball, basketball, concerts, and theater events near you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code. That's LOCKED, capital O, lowercase n, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. We're talking about Travis Hunter. I think Colorado has a Travis Hunter conundrum. Not really, but I kind of think they do, in the sense that how are they going to use him? I've talked about it before, and Coach Prime's latest comments about him playing both ways in the NFL kind of have me concerned. Not really concerned, because I think Coach Prime knows what's best. I think Coach Prime would never put Travis in a situation where he shouldn't be in. We saw that last season when Travis wanted to return. I think it was after the Oregon game, and because he had that lacerated liver because of the Colorado State injury, and he wanted to come back after Colorado got their doors blown off of them against Oregon. And Coach Prime was like, no, you're much more important to me than a stupid game. Like, we're not going to just rush you back so you could play just to play. Obviously, had he come back, maybe they beat USC. We never know. They beat Arizona State without him, and then he comes back for Stanford, and obviously didn't have the impact that he would have liked. He had a costly penalty, and you could just tell, and he took another big hit that had him down for a little bit. So it's probably best that Coach Prime didn't bring him back. And I think Coach Prime always has everyone's best interest at hand, whether people want to admit that or not, because I feel like there's a lot of this notion where it's like, oh, he doesn't care about anybody. He just cares about his sons. It's all that jazz, all that jargon. But realistically, I look at these guys and I look at Travis Hunter specifically, and I think to get the best out of Travis Hunter, they need to pick a position for him and they need to have him focus on that position. Now, I think NFL wise, Travis Hunter is probably great enough to play wide receiver or defensive back at the next level. I personally think there's more money to be made at the wide receiver position. Tyreek Hill, from what I looked up, is making $30 million per year as the highest paid receiver, and it was Denzel Ward on the Packers that's getting paid the most for defensive backs at $21 million per year. And I do believe that you can have a longer lasting impact as a wide receiver, whereas a defensive back, your impact is, I would say, your prime isn't as long. Like, think of guys like Larry Fitzgerald, for instance, is a wide receiver that stands out to me. He stands out to me because he played well into his upper 30s. I think he retired when he was like around 36 or 37. Let's see when he retired, because he was a consistent type of guy, always ready to be there for his offense, his whoever his team was. So he was someone that I think had a huge impact as a wide receiver, even well into his age. I think we're even seeing it with tight ends a little bit. It's a little bit different, but obviously he retired. Let's see, retired. Larry Fitzgerald. He was 38 when he retired, and he was quite productive all throughout his career. Whereas I think of like corners like Darrelle Revis or Josh Norman, where they're at the top of the game, and then all of a sudden they fall off the cliff quickly. So I think for Travis Hunter, even if he might be a better corner, or they project him as a better corner, I think wide receiver would probably be the best place to focus on. That's literally up to Travis, so whatever he wants to play. And at Colorado, I think they need to maximize him. I've talked about this before. I think they need to maximize him by, whether it's on defense, which I doubt it's going to be on defense because I feel like they're going to need more help. They probably need to sit him multiple drives at a time on offense. Like, maybe he plays, I don't know, 2 drives of defense, or plays a drive of defense, comes back on offense, boom, they score a touchdown. Guess what? If he's back on defense, he should be sitting the next offensive drive, maybe the next 2. Obviously, you don't want to just be like, okay, Travis, you're playing 7 offensive drives, 7 defensive drives this game, and then you're sitting the rest. You don't want to play it that way. You're going off momentum. I like analytics. I like all of the metrics, but again, you want your best players out there for the biggest moments. So if there's a moment where they need Travis out there, obviously put him out there. But I do think that there's really an avenue or an argument to be made that they should really have him focus on one position. And I think that goes for his NFL career. I know Coach Prime is confident that Travis can play both ways. Coach Prime kind of played both ways in the NFL, but it's very uncommon. We don't really see it these days. I don't even know if NFL teams would be willing to do that anymore. And so I think Colorado really needs to get the most out of Travis Hunter, so that way they can kind of get the most out of their season. Because I think you get the most out of him, it means your defense is playing better, which means you're winning more games, stopping more offenses. And it means that on offense, you're getting more big plays, which obviously Travis Hunter is a big play threat always. But I feel like they need to get the most out of him in order to get the most out of their season, because this is kind of a high pressure year. I think there's kind of some pressure on a lot of people to succeed. Coach Prime needs to win some games to maybe silence the doubters a little bit. And then Shador, he's trying to be a top 10 pick. Same thing with Travis. He's trying to be a top 10 pick, top 5 pick. So there's a lot of pressure on these guys to really get things figured out. And so that would be my case for Travis Hunter, to kind of be focusing on one position while complementing the other. I don't think he needs to be either or, but I do think they need to pick and choose where they use him appropriately. So that way they could kind of, you have the best player in college football, or one of the best players in college football. Use him wisely is what I would say. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the Deion Sanders effect and how it stretches off the field, because I don't think a lot of people realize how big his impact is at Colorado just yet. This episode of Locked On Buffs is also brought to you by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. It has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses wearing so many hats might not have the time or resources to hire, and that's why LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your jobs for free. Terms and conditions apply. Well, welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers, and we are greatly appreciative of that support. We got some great guests coming up. You guys won't want to miss it. March Madness is approaching. You guys will want to check it out. Okay. Deion Sanders effect. And you're probably like, this again. Yeah, this again, because he just keeps affecting the way he keeps affecting Colorado and college football so much that it's hard not to talk about it. A recent report by the USA Today revealed that Colorado is reporting a record number of applicants for the 2024 fall semester and a 50.5% increase in Black applicants, both of which are mostly because of the Prime effect. Obviously, he comes in, brings a lot of exposure to the program, kind of brings a lot of culture to Boulder. Obviously, if you guys aren't familiar, Colorado is a very predominantly white it's a PWO, predominantly white, or PWI, predominantly white institution. Nearly 70% of their students are white. Only 2.8% of them are Black. You go to Colorado and it's just white people galore, which, I mean, it is what it is. It's just kind of the nature of who lives there, who's around there. And it's not a traditionally place where it attracts a lot of cultures, from what I've been told. But with Coach Prime there, he's changing everything. He's changing the culture. He's changing college football. He's changing the program itself. He's brought in money to the local economy, and now he's making it more of an attractive destination for African-American students. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's great. And I think it shows just how impactful he is. Like, I think Colorado should give Coach Prime the longest leash possible as a head coach, even if he doesn't do well in the next couple of years. Say they go 5-7 this year and 6-6 next year. I still think you got to give them chances. Obviously, I don't think those things will happen. I've already projected 7-8 wins, but Coach Prime comes in. He's changing the narrative around Colorado. He's showing that a non-traditional program that's not in the South could be a power in college football. He's showing that a program that does things a little differently, that's not just throwing money at players, can still attract top talents. He's showing that a program that is, or a school that is typically predominantly white, can be a place for African-American students to come, get an education, feel connected with each other, still feel like they're not out of place. I feel like that was kind of a notion that some could have felt in years past, but Colorado is a new program for the better. And I think Coach Prime is at the forefront of this. And I think a lot of this translates to what he's doing on the field and off. Obviously, the more effort he puts into this program, the more effort that people and more attention that people are going to put into it as well. I think he's generating a ton of interest in the right way. And I think a lot of people don't really appreciate what he does because of all the noise he makes, in the sense that he's the head coach of a team that went 4-8, and people are talking about him religiously. And I know a lot of people don't like that. I talked about that a couple days ago, why Colorado is the biggest villain in college football. But this is really cool to see. Obviously, the Coach Prime effect is real. It's real on the field. It's real off the field. And I think it's a great, great aspect of what he does. I think it's also great that you guys tune in every day and make me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow. Give me 5 stars on Spotify and Apple. Comment below what discussions or what topics you guys want me to go over. Maybe shoot some questions that you guys want me to address so I can do a mailbag thing. Again, we used to do those last offseason. They were really fun, so let's bring those back. Appreciate all you guys' support. Hope you guys have a great start to your week. Stay warm for all those who are in the cold, and stay healthy to everyone. Have a great day.